There's not one specific liberal creator that I wouldn't spar with.
Now, it's been a few years, so I may be a little rusty, but I mean, I got some time today. Come on through.
Greetings and salutations. This is Big J, and I'm here to interview Bernard Taylor, who is the candidate for the 21st Congressional District in the state of Florida. Good evening to you, sir. And I know though you have a busy time, so I hope you share with us your policies and your ideas for America. So how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. I gotta ask a question though. Are you related? Because I saw the video you doing some boxing. Are you related to the leatherweight champion Bernard Taylor, who was back in the 1980s and 90s? He was the featherweight champion.
No, that's not no relation, man.
Oh, okay. Because when I saw your name. And I thought, wait a minute, it seemed the boxer from the 1980s or the son of related to? Yeah, that's why, So so can you, sir, describe to me the 21st District of Florida? How is it like? What is the condition on the ground? And why are you running?
So here in Florida's Congressional District number 21. So it consists of 3 counties. It consists of St. Lucie County, Martin County, and northern Palm Beach County. So Palm Beach County is pretty big. So it has 2 congressional districts. Part of Palm Beach County feeds into my district. The other rest of Palm Beach County is Congressional District 20. Here in Congressional District 21, it was a Democratic district for a while until about 6 years ago when they redid the lines and gerrymandered the district. So it's become a very Republican stronghold. I believe the last election, the Republican won here by about 15 to 18 points. Mm-hmm. However, with everything going on over the past few months and just being out here on the ground, talking to the folks, talking to the people that I grew up with, because I'm from this area. I went to school in this area and I work in this area as a firefighter. So I'm always on the ground. I'm always in the community talking to people, and everyone, even the ones that voted for the current president, no one is happy about the way things are going. And they just want a change, man. They want someone who's going to be honest, who's going to be real, who's going to be authentic, and who's going to actually look out for their best interest. So with that being said, I did some research about the area, the voter demographics, the reason why it was such a big gap in the results last year for this district. And after analyzing everything, going over everything with my campaign manager, mm-hmm. we figured we had a really good shot, man. And again, just being that I'm from here, I know a lot of people here, I work here. It just seemed like the perfect opportunity, the perfect time to try to make something happen.
All right. So you had just said though you were a firefighter, and something else you was a part of something else you were part of you was an EMT.
Paramedic. Yeah.
Oh, you're a firefighter paramedic. Okay. Mm-hmm. So tell us about the nature of that job and how would you bring that experience into Congress, being a first responder.
Well, the whole part about my job is putting the needs of others ahead of my own. It's about sacrificing my life to, protect the life of others and protect the property of others, regardless of what you look like, who you represent, who you worship. When you get in the back of the ambulance, when you call 911, none of that matters. The only thing that matters is to make sure that you have the best possible outcome, getting you stabilized, getting you as healthy as possible, getting you to the hospital, make sure they can do whatever they can to get you stabilized and get you back up on your feet. And again, that's that's basically how, I've been my whole life. I'm a very empathetic person. I, I'm constantly thinking about, the needs of others. Just because I'm doing great or I'm doing good in life, doesn't mean that I can't do my part to help make sure other people are doing well in life as well. So I believe my career, my job, fits me perfectly. And I believe this mission and this campaign that I'm embarking on is also a mission to make sure that everybody around me is doing good and not just myself.
Okay. All right. And since you talk about your experience being a EMT and firefighter and first responder, um, what is your opinion when it comes to healthcare? And uh, are you for the single payer plan, or are you for some other plan akin to Obamacare? Or what healthcare plan do you personally have that you would like to see taking place?
I mean, me personally, I really believe that there's a way to get universal health care for everyone in the country. If you really look at the way healthcare operates now, healthcare is basically about a bunch of middlemen getting rich. If you really look at it and break it down to its bones. And I believe we can eliminate the big insurance companies and the middlemen and actually negotiate a way for everyone to be able to have health care, for everyone to be able to have Medicaid and Medicare throughout the whole country.
And do you think though that you would investigate uh, health insurance companies like the one where what's his name, the CEO who got tragically um, gunned down? Would you go after United Health and other health insurance companies that have been robbing the people and may put not, I wouldn't say RICO, but um what's the, I forgot what's on top of my head. People,
Racketeer,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
racketeer.
yes. Would you try to investigate all these health insurance companies that have treated their customers and actually send some of their customers into the grave by denying them coverage when they can't afford it? Would you?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. You investigate the insurance companies. You also want to look at the people who take advantage and overcharge for the people that are on Medicaid and Medicare. The majority of the fraud that happens in Medicaid and Medicare is not from the people that are using the services. It's from the providers overcharging, and it's from these other companies, again, overcharging and really, defrauding the programs. And that's where you have all the waste and fraud in Medicaid and Medicare. It's not so much with the constituents. And, that's one of the things that irks my nerves whenever they talk about, these cuts that they're making to Medicaid and basically saying there's all these people on Medicaid that are just committing fraud or are eligible to work or can work and just are choosing not to. And they know that's not the case. Down here in Florida, we've had two governors involved in some type of Medicaid scandal, whether it be the current governor who used a Medicaid scandal and got $10 million into his wife's charity and used that to lobby against different amendments he didn't like, or whether it's former Governor Rick Scott, who's current senator of Florida, Rick Scott, and the millions and millions of dollars he defrauded Medicaid for. So those are the people that we need to be looking into.
And since you mentioned Rick Scott, right? And I'm in Texas, so I'm aware of some of the issues that Rick Scott have done, the controversies. Would you, once you dare, would you investigate him and try to get him expelled from the United States Senate, him being part of the healthcare industry and have defrauded the customers over there?
Well, his unfortunately his situation has already been remedied in court, and he had to end up paying a huge fine. So there's really nothing more you can do as far as like getting him out of there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just, I didn't know that. So, another issue I would like to bring up is the police and the Castro doctrines, the right to self-defense, the Second Amendment, having because there've been a lot of cases in Florida. The Trayvon Martin one is very well known. There was another one where a black man was shot for defending his wife in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to some of these laws, how would you when these gun laws and also these school shootings happen in Parkland, I think,
Yes.
What is your opinion when it comes to gun laws, gun control, and gun rights? The Second Amendment parts.
Well, I believe everybody does have a right to protect themselves and does have a right to bear arms. However, having said that, the majority of the country all can agree that we need comprehensive background checks and gun reforms. And there are certain type of weapons that I don't really believe that you need to be having in the public or in society. Like anything military grade assault weapon. Like if you want to use those type of weapons, we have the military. Go join the military. You know what I'm saying? I really believe that there should be some reform and again, stricter background checks and everything we can to try to make sure that we're not infringing upon people's right to protect themselves, but however we are trying to make it as safe as possible for our community and our children.
And would you be in favor for red flag laws for
Absolutely.
certain? Okay. And how? And let me go dive deep into the red flag laws. How far would you go with the red flag laws? I mean, who would you be eligible for to be on that list?
Definitely anybody who has any history of mental illness, like definitely want to make sure the flags go up because I find it highly ironic anytime there is a school shooting. One side always wants to blame it on mental health. Well, if that's the case, maybe these people shouldn't have firearms in the first place. So anyone who has a mental illness or mental diagnosis, I believe, should be a red flag. Um, Anyone with a violent history, a violent felony history, whether that be assault, rape, murder, any type of crimes like that, absolutely should pop up on the red flag. Those are my main ones.
Okay. Um, let's see. There's something else. So would you be in favor of all schools in America to have because like what happened in Uvalde, Texas, that's my home
Mhm.
state. Would you be in favor that all schools, public schools, get metal detectors
No,
or some? Oh, you don't? Okay.
no,
Wow.
I'm man from Miami, and I experienced that stuff growing up, and it is not it is not conducive to the learning environment, and absolutely doesn't deter people from doing things. It actually encourages people to find ways around it. You feel me?
Oh, okay. Okay. So, and what about okay? Since we touched on about guns and stuff like that, how would since Donald Trump is doing the police what's it called, the immunity? How
Hmm.
would you combat the idea that police can just freely can get off for shooting an unarmed citizen?
The
How would
thing
you combat that?
the thing about it also, with the whole getting rid of the civil rights division in the Department of Justice, people hear civil rights, they just think about the whole black versus white thing. But the Civil Rights Division was the division that did a lot of the investigations into these different police departments whenever there was suspicion of, um, you know, um, uh, unauthorized or unlawful killings of anyone, whether they be black or white. So with that division being gone, and also with the president floating, giving immunity to these different police officers, it's imperative, like you say, we get people in these different legislations and different legislative spots that are going to put the right people and systems in place to be able to investigate these departments and make sure that they know that there are consequences. Because right now, with the elimination of the Civil Rights Division and possibly having immunity, it gives people, a false sense of like, I can do whatever I want because there's no consequences. It is our
Hmm.
job. It is our job to make sure that we put the right people in place and the systems in place and let people know and let these people know, like, hey, there are consequences. So you might want to think twice before you, unintentionally or intentionally, who knows, take the life of innocent person.
And would you entertain the idea? This is a follow-up question. Would you entertain the idea of federal crimes, beef with the federal penalties, make it a federal crime for an officer of a law to abuse the citizen, the unarmed citizen, and the like? Would you go so far as making a federal crime for sheriff, city police to harm and unharm salient, unharmed citizen.
I mean, would I make it a federal? There are federal crimes on the book that you add to the state charges whenever that happens. If
Right.
it's
Well,
all,
would you stiffen the penalties? Is what I'm saying. Would you?
absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
Like with anything, the worse the penalties are, you want to create deterrence from people to doing things. So obviously, the current deterrents haven't been working as well. So you want to make them stronger if you can.
Okay. Okay. Next question. I think we on the criminal justice part out the way. What is your opinion on, because of Roe v. Wade, the Dobbs decision eroded Roe v. Wade and is now back to the states when it comes to abortion and the right to choose. What is your opinion on abortion and women's the right to choose to have that to be performed?
I'm always going to side with a woman's right to choose.
Okay.
It's not my body. Everybody is entitled to do what they want as far as their own body is concerned. So I'm always going to support a woman's right to choose. Um, in my own personal life, would I encourage my partner? No. But just because it's not something that I would do doesn't mean that I have the right to infringe upon anyone else what they should do. So I'm always going to be pro-choice in that matter.
So when you are elected, if and when you're elected, you would codify Roe v. Wade if given a chance.
Without question.
Okay. Okay. All right. And since though we are on, talk about women's rights and here's another one I want to bring up to you. Do you believe in? I'm hearing feedback. Do you believe in the idea of of boys being in girls sports, and would you prevent boys being in girls sports or girl in bathrooms and the like?
No, that's one thing that I'm probably not aligned with my party on. I really don't think it's a place for that. I don't support, men playing women's sports. So it's a way to do things to make sure everyone is accommodated.
Mm-hmm.
I believe everybody should, live, like I say, live your life, love who you want to love. But it comes a point in time where it's like something like that, when you see the majority of the country and the majority of women, and that's another thing, we want to listen to women, and a lot of women are telling us they don't want that. So how are we going to say listen to women and not listen to women when they say, hey, we don't want, men playing in our sports?
Okay. And would you try to create like a women's bill of rights that would protect women and girls in that aspect, and even outside of sports itself, in bathrooms and stuff? Would you go that far with that as well?
It's a little bit of a tricky situation because you got to make sure you're not being discriminatory in any type of way, because then you
Mm-hmm.
open yourself up to discrimination lawsuits. You want to try to make sure you are accommodating as possible. I know many places they have universal bathrooms where, you know, whatever you decide you want to be, you can use that restroom. And I think if we do things like that, they kind of make it more accommodating. We can satisfy all parties involved, and again, not open ourselves up to have any type of discrimination against one community or another.
Okay. And would you? Okay. Then on top of that, and it might be a weird question I'm about to ask.
Okay.
Would you entertain the idea of having a third for transgender people to be in sports? Like, instead of being boys and girls, they'd be having their own little thing. Would
Absolutely.
you? Okay.
Absolutely. Like I say,
You would.
to have a league. Like you got a men's league, you got a women's league, and you got a transgender league. Like I say, it's different ways to accommodate everyone to make sure everyone is able to participate and be happy. Because we have to look at all sides and how all parties feel about the situation and come up with the best solution. That's what
Okay.
democracy is.
All right. And now I know that you've been online, you've been on YouTube, you've been on social media, and there has been the uptick of misogyny against women, and you got the thing called the manosphere and the red pill spaces, and how Google, TikTok, X is actually encouraging misogyny, how would you combat against the against these entities that are being encouraged by Google to do these platforms, you know, that is sexist and harmful to women?
My whole
How would
thing,
you combat, sir?
my whole thing is the way I've been this entire campaign, the way I've been my entire life is just being myself and being my authentic self. And, you know, one thing about people, they can see, you know, when somebody's being real and authentic and when somebody's trying to grift and when somebody's just trying to, you know, engagement farm or rage bait. And that's a lot of what all that stuff is, man. It's just engagement farming and rage bait. At the end of the day, a lot of these guys that are talking about, I'm a quote unquote alpha male. They're not actually
Right.
alpha males in real life. You know, when I see some of these guys and the way they speaking, and it's like, bro, you're not that guy. Like, stop it. So it's really up to us again, just up to men to be examples and be positive role models, man, and let people know that, again, we're not at war with the women in our lives, man. If it wasn't for a woman, I wouldn't be here today. If it wasn't for a woman, I wouldn't have the career that I have. So I owe a lot of my successes to a lot of the women in my life. And again, it's about uplifting the women. So if you see enough, you got to get enough of us, you know, grown men and real men out here to uplift our sisters, man, and be an example, show the younger folks.
Right. I understand that, and it's because the way I see it, because I see the Myron Gaines of the world, who's in
Clown.
the the clown, who's a clown, who's
Yeah.
going around to the universities and, you know, harassing women and and I think for me, I think because of the red pill of the red pill philosophy, the red pill, the manosphere MGTOW stuff, I think it's poisoning the minds of young men to say that women, it's particularly women of their own age group, are their enemy. And then you've seen these repeated occurrences of violence and harassment.
Mhm.
And I think though it needs to be addressed at the federal level. But that's my opinion though. But because I think Google is allowing Google itself and other social media companies is allowing all this when it goes against their terms of service and their community guidelines. And I would like to see Google, especially Google and Facebook, to be investigated and so forth. Excuse me, I'm sorry. It's my alarm coming on. I
No, you're
apologize.
fine. The thing about that is, like, again, these are technically private entities,
Uh-huh.
and whatever their community guidelines are can be interpreted the way they want to interpret them. So it's extremely hard to actually, go into that without
Mm-hmm.
violating their freedom of speech. You know, they have control over their algorithms. They can make their algorithms push whatever they want. Again, it's more so not necessarily going after the companies, but combating all this stuff as much as possible. And it's our job as, men and women in the society to try to combat all this negativity and not engage with it. You know, the best way to shrink all that manosphere red pill stuff, the best way to get that stuff to die down, when people realize they can't make any money from it because it's not getting the engagement, they'll switch up. They'll try to find another grift. So as long as we continue to entertain the negativity, to engage with the nonsense, they're going to continue to do it. You know, it's up to us to stop engaging with it. I don't even follow a lot of that stuff. I block most of it when it comes on my page because I'm not going to help feed into their money making machine and their grift. And if more people were to do that, I think it'd be better.
Okay. And let me move on to another area. When it comes to Florida basically is a border state, and what is your opinion on illegal immigration and undocumented people, and how would you deal with them in America? Because now though, there's this scare about all these illegals are invading America. They're going to destroy America within, the rhetoric. And I'm from a border state, so some of what they're saying, most of what they're saying is not really true. And then I don't like how the governor of Florida and the governor of Texas are taking these undocumented people and sending them to Chicago and Martha's Vineyard and Washington D.C. outside of Kamala Harris's the vice presidential house at the time. How would you combat that part? Or what are your opinions on that? I should say.
Well, like I said, you from Texas, I'm from Florida, man. We know that our economies are really built on the fact that we have a lot of undocumented workers that work in these industries that most Americans don't want to work into, whether that's agriculture, whether that's service in these hotels and, housekeeping and in these restaurants. Like, these people come in majority of them, over 90% of them, just want to come here, make the money that they can make and just, make a better life for themselves. The thing with it is, I think the whole immigration system needs to be reformed and needs to be refined. There's no reason that it should take you 10 to 20 years before you can become a citizen. And a lot of the people that are quote unquote undocumented or illegal, they come over here, their visas expires and they're just sitting around waiting to have their day in court so they can get their citizenship. It's not like these people are coming over here and just not trying to be citizens. The process just takes way, way, way too long. And there needs to be, again, just immigration reform. And every time, the closest we got to some reform was last year, and, they killed that bill. So they leave the system broken so they can have something to run on. And it's unfortunate. It's going to take literally, again, just putting the right people up there that actually want to solve and fix the problem and have some immigration reform so we can streamline the process so the people that actually want to come over here and be valuable members and contribute to our society and our economy, we can streamline that faster. But right now, again, they leave the system broken and they do, all these histrionics again to drive up the base and, have something to run on every 2 to 4 years. So until we actually sit down and want to actually fix the problem, it's going to continue to be a problem.
And how would and since though me and you are in Texas and Florida respectively, I believe that I believe it's a crime called enfragglement, where you send people to another location on the false pretense, and enfragglement is also kidnapping. So would you investigate the current governor of Florida and my governor and my governor Greg Abbott? Would you investigate those two for sending these people to other parts of the country for political purposes?
1 second. You. Yeah, absolutely. Again, if anybody's committing any type of crimes, you want to investigate. You want to make sure that you hold them accountable.
Are you okay?
Yeah, let me get some water real quick.
Okay. I'll wait.
All right, sorry about that.
That's all right. Go ahead.
Yeah, you want to make sure that we hold these people accountable, man. We know that a lot of this stuff is just political theater. It's for, clicks and to make their bases happy. So definitely want to make sure we're investigating them once we get the right people in place.
Okay. There was something else I would like that. Oh yeah. Since we're here about America and kicking the people from the south of the border out of, what is your opinion on the Trump administration bringing in white South Africans and then try to create this narrative that South Africa is having genocide upon the white population? And would you would you try to prevent that from occurring? Allowing the boards to come in under, apply the same rule to the boards to the Hispanic populations from south of the border.
It's kind of funny that you mentioned that, because our president just tweeted out that there is no white genocide now that him and Elon Musk are no longer cool. So it just goes to show you, just tweeted out. All of a sudden, there's no white genocide now. So again, it just goes to show you what the motivation was behind everything. It has nothing to do with keeping criminals out. It's all about, again, them just being afraid of a country of a majority of minorities. A bunch of black and brown people coming over and eventually being a majority. So.
And would you investigate Elon Musk and SpaceX and the safety, because the Tesla car is known to not have some safety issues? Would you investigate that as well? I mean, Tesla, SpaceX, things that owned by Elon Musk.
The thing is that there were a whole bunch of investigations going on, and he used this whole Doge facade to get in and basically gut every organization that was investigating this company. So all we would have to do, again, make sure we take the House back next year, get in, put the right people in place, and open those departments back up and open those investigations back up. But absolutely.
Okay. All right. Oh yeah. And there's just one question I forgot to ask.
No.
There has been this idea about Democrats not gaining young men and men at large. How would you use your campaign to get young men to vote for you and vote for somebody else who's a Democrat in 2000? I don't know why I'm saying 2016, 2026, and in 2028. How would you bring young men who were voting for Trump on this illusion of masculinity and get them to be back into the Democratic fold? How would you, for the messaging and campaign, how would you reach out to these young men to do that? I don't know if I asked that question already.
No, you're fine. Again, it's about just being myself, being a man. I'm not trying to be anything but what I've been my whole life. Again, this quote unquote image of masculinity. I work a blue collar job. I keep myself in shape. Mm-hmm. I do all these things that they quote unquote put on the pedestal as the image of masculinity, while at the same time I'm also empathetic and care for the people around me. And you can be masculine and empathetic at the same time. And again, it's just about getting into those spaces and talking with young men. I do a lot of mentoring of young men now, and just with my social media presence and the following that I've gained over a few years, I've inspired a lot of young men to even look into the field of being an EMT or a paramedic or firefighter, something they never even thought about. And it's just not even having spoken with them, but they see how I carry myself and, the image I present and the way I am. And it's something that they look up to. And now it's just like getting that out to a wider scale of people, get my message out to as many people as possible. And
I'm gonna speak on foreign policy. Now I know that being a member of Congress, y'all very limited when it comes to international trade, tariffs. Well, tariffs y'all do have power to, but when it comes to international or international, with Donald Trump betraying our allies, especially one of the greatest allies we had, which is the Canada, and the season of Greenland. How would you use the powers as a congressperson to address America turning its back on our greatest allies around the world?
Well, very first thing we have to do is take back tariff power. We got to take back the tariff powers and put them back in control where they should have been, which is in the House, which is in Congress. Congress has the power of the purse, and that includes tariffs. So a lot of the ways we, pissed off a lot of our allies is with these tariffs. So first and foremost, we need to get that power back where it belongs.
Okay. And how would you address the the colleges and universities that are being targeted by the Trump administration over the situation in Gaza. And a lot of people who are foreigners or people who are suspected to be supporting Hamas is being deported and the like. How would you address that? And how would you address Harvard and other universities being targeted by the Trump administration?
Again, it just goes right back to freedom of speech. You know, when you're in this country, we all are under the Constitution. The Constitution gives everyone a right to express themselves in a peaceful manner. Mm-hmm. Just because someone has an opinion or somebody thinks differently of you doesn't give you a right to target them or to try to punish them because they don't think like you. That is completely ridiculous. So in a lot of these cases, these people that have gone after, you see these courts are overturning these cases or ruling against the administration because, again, you can't violate these people's First Amendment right just because it's something that you don't like.
Facts. Okay. So, and let me talk about the issue with Israel and Palestinians and especially Gaza. Would you agree that there should be a Palestinian state?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. Okay, all right. I think that's. And the next question I would like to ask: how would you try to build relations? Well, I think I already asked that question, but build relations with the Middle East, particularly the Muslim world, and how would you try to solve the problem between Russia and Ukraine?
So with Russia and Ukraine, you got to understand the basic premise of why everyone in the world is trying to help Ukraine is they don't want Russia to take Ukraine, because if Russia takes Ukraine, what is Russia going to do? Russia is going to continue to expand, and eventually they're going to attack one of our NATO allies. If they attack one of our NATO allies, we have an obligation, being that we are in NATO, to send our troops to help fight. Now, we want to avoid that. Obviously, we don't want to sacrifice our own young men and women, which is why we send the aid to Ukraine that kind of help them fight off Russia, because, again, it is cheaper for us and it costs us no lives to be able to send this aid. And what people don't understand, they just hear we've sent these billions of dollars, thinking that we are actually sending physical money, and not the fact that we're sending like old decommissioned weapons that we can't use anymore. And it's cheaper for us to send them to Ukraine and let them use them to fight, as opposed to us having to decommission and destroy the weapons. It's much cheaper for us just to send that stuff over there. And I think that's what gets lost, is we're not explaining that to the vast majority of Americans. They just hear we're sending Ukraine all this money, but we're not having money to take care of people in our own country. And that's just simply not the case. We're not sending them out, checks every 3 or 4 months. We're just sending them over the weapons, and this is the value of these weapons that we're sending to them that we no longer can use. So it is important for us to be able to continue to do that, so that we don't have to get involved into another war, and Ukraine can, defend himself and potentially win this war if there's no ceasefire and peace talks.
Okay. Let me see. The next question I'm going to ask: Governor Wes Moore of Maryland vetoed a bill for the study of reparations. What is your opinion, since you and I are both black Americans? What is your opinion on the idea of reparations? And if you were in Congress, how would you implement such a policy? And how would you? If you do have a plan, what type of plan you have to implement that plan, I should say, or that idea?
Well, first off, I agree with Governor Wes Moore when he vetoed the bill. Like, we have had studies. We've had many studies over the past, however many decades on reparations. We don't need no more studies. We need action. We need to put plans in place to actually, get things done. I don't know if you've seen the story with the mayor in Tulsa. They're working on a reparations package for the survivors and everyone, the descendants of the Tulsa massacre, and they're working on that in the form of like scholarships and many other different type of grants and things of that nature, just to be able to come up with a reparations package for that one city. And if they can do that in Tulsa, there's got to be a way we can do that on a federal level for every Black American that has been a descendant of slavery.
Right, because I think that Governor Moore is unfairly judged because they thinking though because the bill that Governor Moore, excuse me, had vetoed was a bill that was passed 6 years ago. It's a
Yeah,
repeat. So why should they keep doing the bill all over again when he knows that bill has been passed and was written years previously? We don't need another studies bill. I think most people have already came to the conclusion what is the dollar amount and how to distribute. I think the problem is when it comes to the reparations angle is how would you do it and when, not the dollar amount itself, or we need studies for this. I think the issue is more about how, not the what.
exactly.
Would you agree with that? Yeah. That's and I think though, I think these grifters is making Wes Moore to be a villain, and not the whole. I know you heard the whole Tether versus
Yeah,
FBA nonsense.
I don't get involved in all that nonsense, man.
Right,
When we all get pulled over, all they see is black. They don't
right,
ask where you from here, which island you came. They don't ask none of that stuff. Man. So I don't
right.
get involved with all that stuff. Again, it was a sensationalized headline, and it gave all the grifters something to talk about for that. Yeah, that's all.
Right. Um, and since that we're talking about information and news, and how information is passed, and would you be in favor of re-implementing the fairness doctrine? Because I think the media itself is lying for political for political reasons and not telling people the truth. Would you think that the restating the fairness doctrine, which was I think the fairness doctrine ended in 1987, would you try to bring back the fairness doctrine back?
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah. Let me see. Do I got any more questions? I don't think I got any more questions to ask, Mr. Taylor. But I did saw that video of that Trump supporter, and you know, yeah. I laughed at it, and the guy backed down from it.
Back down
Yeah,
from everything, man. It was funny. Sometimes you just gotta like, hey man, y'all get on here and say some outlandish stuff on the internet. And you gotta tone that down a little bit.
right. Well, like Mr. Taylor, it's been an honor, to have this interview with you, and
Man, it's my pleasure.
I wish you luck in the incoming primary, which is next March.
Yes.
When's our primary?
For Florida, it's August.
In
Next
Florida's August.
Yep,
Next August. Oh, you have a long campaign. You got another.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We got a long way to go, brother.
yeah. Okay. And you must have just started then.
Yeah, we've only been doing it for about 2 months now.
Oh, 2 months. Oh, okay. Was that like an easy decision for you, or is it just something that you just felt propelled to do it?
It was a feeling, man. I after just seeing everything going on and the past few months, how it has affected not only myself but everyone around me. It was time to step up and stand up and use the platform that I've built to actually do some good. So it was time. It was time to try to make a difference in the world.
Okay, then. Well, Mr. Taylor, I wish you luck in the primary, and hopefully you are the candidate and the nominee to 2026, and hopefully you make it into Congress.
Brother, I
So
appreciate that. Thank you very much for having me.
yes, sir. Though, and this concludes my interview, y'all. And like, share, subscribe, and Mr. Taylor, I wish you well and wish
Thank
you
you,
luck.
sir.
All right,
Appreciate
then.
it.
All right, then. All right, y'all. Good night, y'all. I'm out.